Here we have it, 8K Call of Duty. I'm doing this so you don't have to, as I crank up the resolution to an equivalent of 4K monitors. That's 16 1080p screens, all through the power of the mighty nvidia 4090 and its 24 gigs of RAM, which right away get used up almost all the way to 16 gigs. Now, what do you get out of it? You get about 35 FPS and incredible amount of lag on your input controls. Remember, there is no FSR, no DLSS turned on. This is just the video card pushing an equivalent of 16 1080p monitors of pixels. And the memory is, well, still at about 15 gigabytes of use, which is quite a bit. Now, the level of detail that you can see at 8K is incredible. And the fact that a modern game like Black Ops can run at 8K on a 4090 is pretty good. But the input lag is incredible. Right here, I see this guy start pulling up and I'm already knocked out. Is it a viable way to play games? Definitely not something like a first-person shooter that is in any way competitive. Here's a perfect example. I see the guy down there, start aiming, let out way too many rounds than I had to just because the jitter in the mouse was there. But the level of detail that you can get out of this 8K resolution is absolutely awesome. You can see the fine details in the textures and in the backgrounds. But also you get taken out because you're too busy lagging out. 27 to 35 FPS? No, it's definitely not a way to go for a competitive game like this. Alright, well, let's turn on DLSS. So DLSS will render at a lower resolution and then push it up to 8K. Let's see how much more frames per second we get on the 4090 with DLSS turned on. An improvement. We've gone from high 20s, so 27, 30 FPS, to about 37, 40 FPS. So 10 FPS gain. Does it make me a better player? A little bit, temporarily, but you can still feel that input latency. As you run through the corridors that are a little bit tighter, you get into the low 40s, maybe mid 40s, but anything outside with explosions, you start drifting down into low 40s, high 30s. And it's definitely no fun. Sniping, I wouldn't even bother here. At least I can hope to spray and pray. And right here, if you pause, that train card looks great. But is 43 FPS enough to play and enjoy yourself? Not really. I could literally feel the whole computer struggling as I was trying to play through this. Any graphics such as, fire and other textures drags the performance right down into the mid 30s. Now, 4090 locked to 60 FPS at 4K, no problem. No input latency, nice and smooth, and feels just perfect. As a matter of fact, on the 4090, you could easily, by changing some of the settings, get all the way up to 120 or even 90 FPS with almost everything cranked up to max. It's a much nicer way to play something competitive like Call of Duty. Could you play a single player game at 8K or at 30 FPS? You probably could, but it isn't enjoyable. After playing something at 60, you simply will have that feeling of lag and stutter. But not only that, look at my score. Instead of being at the bottom of the barrel, well, I go to the top even though I'm hanging off the balcony. Alright guys, I hope you've enjoyed this.